This episode is proudly supported by Anchor Food Professionals, makers of mainland cheese. Here's Andy Sy from the Notting Hill Hotel.
We've been using them for a few years now, using their tasty and mozzarella cheese. We go through about 135 kilos a week at the moment. So a huge number. So we use it for our garlic bread, our pizzas, our parmas, our bechamel, our cheese sauce for our croquettes and arancini, throughout our lasagnas, anywhere we can really. It's such a good product. You know, having the freshest chips to your fresh chicken to a freshly crumbed schnitzel and topping up with a really high quality cheese is amazing.
For more information, go to anchorfoodprofessionals.com.
I did put it all out there, which is not really my personal style. I'm much more sort of behind the scenes. But I just thought, well, it's the World Championship. It's now or never.
Hey everyone, it's Dani Valent and this is Dirty Linen. We love to chat food and we love to share those conversations with you. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we are talking to someone I've had a long association with over the years and a very happy association. We are also talking about a food substance that we have a very positive relationship with on this podcast. It is porridge. We are talking Spurtles, and our guest is food stylist and porridge champion Caroline Velik. Caroline, welcome to Dirty Linen.
Oh, thanks for having me.
So good to have you here. We've worked together a lot. You're my favourite stylist in the world. Worked on my 3 Thermomix cookbooks and lots of my cooking videos. And it is always such a pleasure to be in your extremely professional, inspiring and inspired orbit. It's a real thrill to have you on the pod for a porridge chat today.
Yeah, happy to talk porridge.
So we've recently, we've had, I know there's been a documentary about the Golden Spurtle, and you are a 3-time competitor, I believe. But clue us in to the Golden Spurtle, the World Porridge Championships, and your incredible victory.
Oh, wow. Where to start? I first entered in 2021. And it was during the global pandemic and we were all in lockdown. So you had to submit a video entry. It was a virtual competition. And that suited me because, you know, Scotland's on the other side of the planet. So I thought, I can definitely make a good video because I have some friends who are great photographers and videographers. So so I entered in 2021 and I came equal 4th. That year they awarded the top 10 spots. So, and there were only 6 points differentiating number 1 position from number 10. So it was pretty crowded competition. Anyway, the next year I thought, well, for sure I'll do better if I go in person and they get to taste my porridge. But that year they only awarded first spot to the traditional and the specialty category, which is actually my favourite category, where I get to sort of do something creative. So anyway, I didn't win and just thought, okay, well, that's it. Like, I'm done with it. I'd been there, tried, and so then I just sort of put it to rest for a while. And then in 2023, sometime I read an article about things that were Australian inventions and jaffles came up. And I just kind of went, I reckon that would really suit the competition. And so it sort of entered my orbit again. And then I didn't make the ballot in 2024. So then I had to wait until 2025. And so then this year I went. So it was good because I had enough time to think about it, really kind of develop the whole idea.
Wow. So the World Porridge Championships happen annually in Scotland, and as you've described, there are 2 categories. There's the classic, where people are only allowed to use oats, water and salt. And then there's the specialty where you can have a real flight of fancy. And I remember coming to your studio and tasting your entry, your previous entry for the specialty. And it was like a porridge congee with pork floss. And it was so delicious. I would have awarded it the Golden Spurtle Grand Champ prize on the spot. But apparently the judges were, I don't know, not up to that. But tell us about your Jaffle entry.
Yeah, so I think as a result of not winning in 22, but seeing what the judges preferred, I realised I needed to up the ante a little bit and not just produce something that was delicious, because that oat congee recipe really is delicious, but to sort of have a bit of a wow factor to it as well. And so when I realised I could put porridge in a jaffle, I thought, yeah, like this will get their attention. I went over there. I really wanted it to be representing Australia. So I liked the idea that jaffles were invented in Australia. And so then I thought, I think you have to be strategic with what your flavours are, because you don't want to be doing something that everyone else is doing. And bananas are so obvious that no one's going to do them. Like, it's such an everyday ingredient. And I was thinking back to my mum's recipe for sort of caramelised bananas that we used to have when we were kids, with a little splash of Bundaberg rum. And I thought, well, Bundaberg is so Australian. And in fact, they do a banana toffee rum liqueur. So that was just, icing on the top. So yeah, I thought, yep, I'll do that. And then I also wanted to throw in some Australian natives, because again, just things that are uniquely Australian but taste delicious that they hadn't seen before. So I used some wattle seed extract. I love wattle seed, but it can be a bit gritty, and I tried using it in the jaffle as the powder, but I didn't really like the texture, so I just used some extract. And then I thought, I'll toss it in caster sugar with a little bit of Davison plum to sort of offset the sweetness, because it's, boozy rum bananas, pretty sweet. So yeah, that was the idea. So then the plan almost came apart, because you have to submit your recipe about a month before. So I'd been testing with some Japanese shokupan bread, because I thought, oh yeah, this will be good. And I was getting to the point where I was testing with vacuum sealing it, because I thought I'm going to have to take the bread over. So I was doing all of this testing, and then I got an email back from the committee saying you can't use bread. Yeah, so then because you can't use anything that's pre-made. So then I just went, okay, well, I don't really know what I'm going to do now, because you only have 30 minutes in which to make both porridges. And because I had to put porridge inside the jaffle and my porridge was going to take 15 minutes, I only had 15 minutes. And I had to do 3 jaffles because there were 3 judges, and you've only got a 2-burner hot plate. So it was really tight. So then I started thinking, well, I'll have to try to make like a flatbread recipe. And one that I've got, which is pretty simple, is just a yogurt flatbread. So I started testing with that, and it wasn't working. And I was kind of running out of time and just thinking, okay, well, I might just have to ditch this and do something else completely. But anyway, I persisted and then got it to work, and then it actually was better than the bread. So yeah, I think it worked out better for me in the end.
That's so amazing. What a journey.
Yeah.
And tell us about that half hour and the judging process? I mean, it must have been you've invested a lot of time into this. You've gone all the way to the little town of Carrbridge in Scotland. Were you feeling I don't know, was there just the joy of being there? Did it feel stressful? Like, were you just really, really hoping you'd win, or was it all about being part of it?
So I think that I sort of got out of my head the idea of wanting to win, because there are so many variables. There's always a guest judge every year. So it can change every year what they're looking for. And the competition evolves as well. So I think when I'd entered in 2022, they were sort of more interested in the specialty section being about things that you can do with anything to do with oat. So the guy who won was using oat flour. And so then, whereas I was just more like surely I can do something creative with porridge. I didn't want to just give up on porridge. Anyway, this year they had sort of shifted more in the direction of wanting it to be more porridge related. So that really sort of suited me. And in fact, I kind of thought, have I gone too far the other way now? So anyway, like, I decided to not think about winning, because I thought I can't control that. I can only control my controllables, and that's all I focused on. So that sort of helped me just enjoy it more, because I thought, well, I'm just here. This is the last time I'm going to do it. So I'll just enjoy it. And like, if nothing happens, I really have got it out of my system.
And so it's okay. I can imagine you, because I've seen you in the kitchen a million times, and I know you are just, extremely capable and skilled and knowledgeable. And I can just imagine the focus with the jaffle, the yogurt bread, the jaffles and the dusting and everything. Did it all go as you wanted it to?
Yeah, look, it did. And I had been, just to give you a bit of an idea, because I have had a notebook for all my recipe testing. So I had tested the traditional porridge more than 20 times. So I'd made different tweaks to it. And you're making over a litre each time. It's just a lot of porridge. And then I started adding in the traditional one to all the specialty to the testing. And so then there were a lot more notes, and there were lots of tests where I didn't get finished in the 30 minutes. So I kind of had to devise a spreadsheet. I had 3 different timers, and I knew that if I did everything in 5-minute blocks, that I could work out how many of the different parts I could do in each 5 minutes. It actually helped me slow down a little bit, because otherwise I was just sort of doing this frenetic cook and just getting it too messy. So I had a spreadsheet. I knew exactly what I was doing. I had 5-minute timers. Once the jaffles went on, they were on 1-minute timers, because I had to turn them every minute, because I'd been burning them and, all the things that you think, I don't have time to repeat this. So I had very little time to be chatting to the MC. I just knew what I had to get through to just get it all done. Plus I wanted to brew some billy tea for them, and I wanted to swing the billy. Like, I wanted to do all of this sort of pretty performative stuff, because I thought, this is the last time I'm going. I'm going to go out with a bang. They'll either go, who's this crazy Australian, or they'll love it. So I did put it all out there, which is not really my personal style. I'm much more sort of behind the scenes. But I just thought, well, it's the World Championship. It's now or never.
That's amazing. So for people who may not have stood around an Aussie campfire too many times, explain about swinging the billy.
Yeah, well, so because I was doing this camping theme, I was trying to sort of be a bit outback Australian, sort of set the theme, which I think appeals to my whole sense as a food stylist. I want it to be visually interesting as well as, something that's tasty. So I thought, well, if I just put these three little sort of toasties, how am I going to serve it? And I thought, well, let's do some Billy tea. And I got this really beautiful tea from a company in Western Australia. And you may know that I'm a collector of vintage tin enamelware. So I thought, well, I can also put a bit of this into it. So I've got this lovely tin enamel Billy, and just put the water on, brewed the tea, and you supposedly just swing the Billy. I mean, I think I do it clockwise, forward to back, but I suppose it doesn't really matter. I don't know. How do you swing it?
Well, you can. So a billy is like a kettle with a lid and a handle, and so it's got the tea and it's got the water in it, and I swing it like around, like I don't know, like a big 360. So it's like a roller coaster, I guess, that goes upside down. You swing it, you just like with a outstretched arm, just give it a big hoik. And the idea is that it's brewing the tea, but it is definitely quite spectacular. It's got that sort of danger element of hot water being upside down and suspended above people's heads. But of course, I guess there are centrifugal forces, if that's the right physics term, that keeps it all in where it's supposed to be. And but you do have quite a spectacular action going on. So I don't know. I think I just go backwards, which I guess is clockwise.
I think that's that's the way I did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
and I definitely. So I just thought, on my 5-minute timings, everything was going well. And I thought, yep, I've got time to swing it. So I did that. And then the MC was over with someone else, but she came over, sort of going, well, what's going on? So then they wanted me to do it again. But it was a vintage Billy. And in fact, it felt a little bit dodgy the second time. And I thought, oh, goodness. Yeah, this could end really badly for me and whoever's behind me. But it was fine. It seemed to hold tight, which was good. The tea leaves went to the bottom, which is what you want. Then I was able to pour the tea. And it was all good.
The scandal, if like your Billy had flown across the room and knocked out the Norwegian competitor, that would have been that would have really made even more news. But I mean, as it happened, you were in the news all over the world for your porridge jaffle. Tell us about winning, first of all, because as we know, you were more focused on being there. But what did it feel like to be anointed?
Yeah, I think because, obviously people have asked me, did you feel relieved? And I think because I hadn't set myself up, there wasn't that pressure and relief. There was a great deal of satisfaction. So I think that was the overwhelming, I was like, oh, yeah, that's great. Like I've done it. Because I'd sort of, I'd set out what I wanted to do and I'd executed it. And so then this felt like this was the next step to that. But I wasn't really prepared for all of the media interest afterwards.
Well, how did that feel? Because as you say, you're a very behind the scenes person.
Yeah. I mean, it was fascinating. It was a little bit overwhelming because of course, everyone's interested in getting the same story, like on day one or day two. So I had left, I'd left Carrbridge and I'd driven back to Edinburgh. And I think that was the first interview that night in Edinburgh, and then it was sort of a flood the next couple of days, and I was traveling to Amsterdam, so I just had a few days in Amsterdam after. So there was quite a bit of Amsterdam was spent just fielding different interviews at different times of the night and morning. So it was fun. It actually worked out quite well. I think I did like an overnight interview, in Melbourne, but it was like 6 p.m. in Amsterdam. So it was interesting. But what was kind of fascinating for me was how all the different journalists had a different take on it, and everyone asked different questions. So I found that really just interesting to be thinking about it from different perspectives.
That's so interesting. I guess, I suppose that's the same with most topics where there are so many different ways to come at a story. And I guess as a journalist, I'm always thinking about that. You've got your own biases that you throw into the mix, and then you're sort of thinking about the different audiences that you might be writing or presenting for. So, I mean, did any of those interviews make you think about what you'd done in a different way?
I think all of them did in a way. I mean, the first interview, which was with the political correspondent for the Sydney Morning Herald, who was based in London, he just said, I've been at Palestinian rallies all week, I just want a good news story. And I thought, that's where I fit, it's sort of comforting and relatable and just a feel-good story. And then I think like a lot of the Australian media then took that up. I don't know if you saw that there was a guy who sang about it on Sam Pang's TV show, like just fun, and I think it's part of the Australian way to not poke fun at it, but also to have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we love a world beater, but we also hate a tall porridge poppy. It is the kind of a porridge competition does seem to it does seem so sweet and nice and old-fashioned in a way. And as the world is hugely messy in so many ways. So it is nice to be able to focus on something and just gently stir a simple pot of ingredients. I also had on the podcast a few months ago Constantine Conti, who made a film about the Golden Spurtle, and as a opera librettist who just somehow caught up in this world and just had to document it because everyone was so charming and quaint, and it just did have this time out of time and place out of place sort of delight to it. I mean, was any of that the attraction to you, or was it simply like a cooking challenge for you?
Well, I think once you go there and you've experienced it, then that's what keeps you coming back. Because if anyone sees the documentary, what you see, that is what the villages are like, and that's what the competition is like. And I think maybe in 2022 I found that a bit frustrating, but I think that they really know themselves, and they're not trying to be anything other than who they are. And I think they can see the absurdity in some of this as well. But there is a charm to that little village in the Highlands, and the people are lovely, and everyone in the competition is really lovely, and yet the paradox is it's so competitive. So those things can exist side by side.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think the sort of particularity of the classic porridge recipe, I don't know, I think there's something in that. Like there's some kind of the fact that you're just using oats, water and salt, but you're finding ways to differentiate and express origin and style there's something very zen about that. There's whatever the Scottish for zen is. But
Yeah.
what did you learn about food, cooking, people by obsessing about the classic recipe?
Yeah, well, I think I learned a lot. I learned a lot about how many different ways you can do it and I felt like I was at various stages in my 20 plus testing nowhere near close enough. And then suddenly, like, you're just tweaking so many different variables, and then it's like, oh, this is it, and then suddenly you've got something that you're really happy with. But yeah, everyone in the competition has their own way of doing it. And I know that it's decided by a ballot. So the two reigning champions get to go back. So they've got a guaranteed spot. So then there's 28 spots up for grabs, and all the names go in a bowl or something and they pull them out. And I don't know what they're going to do next year, because there's now so much publicity, especially from the film, that I think a lot more people are going to be, trying to get in. But anyway, as it stands, 28 spots up for grabs, and pretty much, like, no one just goes there, just pouring it out of a packet. They've all thought about it, what they're going to do. And in the pub after the event, I was talking to, 6 of the contestants, and everyone was just kind of interested in discussing these tiny little, alterations that you can do to porridge.
Did you use a spurtle?
Yeah, I did. And the guy who won didn't. So Sven from Norway, he used like a flat paddle, but I used a spurtle.
So you better tell people what a spurtle is.
So it's a traditional implement for stirring porridge, which is like a stick with a sort of a rounded end. And I think that, when you first start using a spurtle, you've really got no idea what you're doing. Like, it looks fairly straightforward, but I think that, it's meant to stop lumps, which it does. I think you can stir it a little bit faster than a spoon, because there's a little bit less drag than you get with a spoon. Some people seem to think that it's agitating more of the oats so that it releases more of the starch, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I just do what I'm told. I stir clockwise, don't have to think about going the wrong way.
I love that. I think once you're using terms like spoon drag, you know that you're like really pretty into the whole porridge world. Caroline, have you brought anything back from this experience to your work as a food stylist?
I think that probably the attitude of, if it doesn't work the first time, don't give up. So I think that something that I've always had, in kind of problem solving in my job, is that, you've got to stick with it, don't get flustered under pressure, that kind of stuff. But, I often don't have enough time to keep repeating, practicing something, although you might equally say that I've done so many roast turkeys over, 20 odd years, or, glazing hams or whatever, that that repetition, gives you the experience and the knowledge. But yeah, I felt like I could do a lot more than I thought I could do in 30 minutes. So yeah.
Yeah, that's impressive. Let's talk more about food styling. Like, what's big in food styling at the moment? What are you seeing, and what are you sort of putting forward?
Well, I mean, the work that I'm doing with the bigger, larger companies, even with small companies, it's all about social media now. So there'll be a much larger component which is dedicated to social media. And I just think that a lot of people are getting their information, their recipes, their ideas, marketing, through social media. So that's been a big shift. I think a lot more is moving image than a static picture. So yeah, I think there's always going to be the low carb or high protein or gluten free or vegan or all of that. But in a more general sense, yeah, just social media is a vehicle for sharing. Maybe things are a bit less perfect, I think. And I think the behind the scenes, which people are really interested in. So yeah, they would be the things that I would point to.
Does it, in terms of props that you use, so, beautiful plateware, cutlery, backgrounds, all that kind of stuff, does the fact that a lot of it's moving image mean that you turn to different things? Like, do things work differently for still and moving images?
No, I think that we're definitely having a moment of, handmade, beautiful ceramics. And again, that's sort of as opposed to, highly finished, perfect, crockery. But I don't think it makes a difference, in terms of what the end result is, if you're using it for social media or not. Maybe, there were a lot of backgrounds that, hand-painted backgrounds, which were small, which were definitely made for tabletop, shooting. So they're not going to be useful at all. So, yeah, I would think more the backgrounds have to change a bit rather than the actual crockery itself.
Is that just simply because you need more of it because the image is moving?
Yeah.
Yeah. So interesting. And what about, you mentioned the handmade and the earthy. I think it's so interesting, that sort of push-pull between the high-tech and the yearning for the handmade and the artisan. What about colour palettes? Like, do you think, are we looking at, I don't know, more monochrome or more earthy, splashes of colour? Where's that all heading?
Yeah, look, I think that it can also tend to follow what fashion is doing. So, and definitely, when you're heading into different seasons, I just look at the seasonal colours. So like a summer blue is different to a winter blue. So I would look at it more like that. But, there's a lot of real poppy stuff around at the moment, and, maybe graphics that are on plates and words that are printed. So that seems to be something that's a little bit different.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, that's good. And I'm assuming, like, we're talking in November, so I'm assuming Christmas is done, all the Christmas content. Like, is that, yeah? You've basted your last turkey for a while?
Yeah, well, actually, because I went to the competition, I missed Christmas.
Oh, my goodness. Wow.
Yeah,
that's
so
big.
Yeah, it was pretty big. One of my larger clients, I think, was a little bit surprised that I wasn't going to be there. So, but I just knew I had to get the competition out of my head, or out of my system. And Yeah, so I haven't done any turkeys this year. It's actually been quite nice.
I could imagine it would be quite refreshing to have a turkey hiatus, but I'm sure, you'll be back next year with turkeys. So great to catch up, Caroline, and congratulations again for bringing back the Golden Spurtle. So thrilled for you, and I'll have to have a look at the spreadsheet one day. It's right, very much appreciate everything you put into it. And
I'll make you a jaffle.
Please make me a jaffle. That would be amazing. Thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This is Dirty Linen, and I'm Dani Valent. We air the issues that the hospitality industry finds hard to talk about, hearing from different people with unique perspectives. We want to hear from you as well. If you have something that needs to be said about a topic, get in touch so we can include your perspective. Contact us at dirtylinen@deepintheweeds.com.au or hit us up on Insta at Dirty Linen Podcast. We can't wait to hear from you.
This